are we going to hold schools accountable, and how will we do that? If a school fails its children after warnings, after support offered, to Barbara's point, we need to hold those adults accountable for not having those children succeed. And that's challenging, because to use the language of closure and failure is divisive, it's painful, and it's difficult for a community to talk about, a public institution failing. And yet, realistically, that's what's been happening. We just haven't owned up to it. And so gradually we bleed schools of children and of families until nobody cares anymore. I think that one of the things we can do in both leveraging this immense interest in the city and this need to raise expectations and therefore the performance of the portfolio of schools is to open a great school where a failed school has once been. And that you can't do that over a summer. It sometimes takes time.
The conversation pre-Katrina largely centered around a bunch of failing schools and 7 individuals who we all pointed the finger at. And yet I believe that there was a lot of blame to go around. But now there are more of us involved in this very important effort. And so now we're sharing the responsibility. And if we fail at this, then we will share the blame. I believe that at the end of the story, and this is based on my work over all these years, if the best that we have done is our schools are better, but they continue to be economically and racially segregated, then we have not achieved the school system that I believe we can achieve, and we have not
The communication is really the key. If there's something working at my school, then that should be able to be open to any charter or any RSD, and the same thing for a charter. You know, education should not be some secret of, now I've got the answer over at Benjamin Franklin and no one else can have it. You know, if there's something that's working for us, they're all children, and so we need to share the very best of what's working, and so that all of us can rise to that level.
But we're going to have to answer the question, and this is what Paul Patrick to do. How much does it cost to educate a child in New Orleans? If any of you in this room, I see businessmen and women, I see folks who run large organizations, the first thing you do when you go to an organization is ask, how much does it cost to effectively achieve the goal I've been appointed to achieve? We don't yet have an answer for what it costs on average to educate a child in New Orleans and the fiscal reform necessary once we get that answer to really make the kind of systemic and sustainable progress that this community is going to need to continue to keep you all engaged beyond the failures that come after that kind of discussion.
If we simply return all of the schools back to the Orleans Parish School Board, no personal member, I'm not singling out, I'm saying that this is an institution that has operated in a certain way for a number of years, as has the central office. And they continue to operate the same way. And I'm saying that we cannot go back to that. And we have to. If we do that, we've lost an opportunity of a lifetime. And I think that's why I'm calling for this thoughtful discussion about governance. It will be seen as territory. And, but it will be adult territory that we're dividing up. And we cannot turn our back on the kids again.
I think research has shown, and observation among governance issues is unclear. And so I think this community will make a decision about what to do going forward, and I believe it will be a good decision. It will not be the decision, though, that will improve and permanently enhance student achievement. And this is a position I take that I may be wrong on. But they're going to be the people who run the school system, whether they be appointed or elected or some hybrid. We've seen these examples across the country. The issues on the table that impact student achievement, high quality teachers, high quality, right? Induction, mentoring, professional development, subject matter expertise, the kind of support you need at the school site. I could go on and on. Student-teacher ratio, so you can actually manage your classroom. Principals who have authority, autonomy, and expertise in professional development. We can go on about the things that we need to improve student achievement. I believe and I am concerned that those things get lost in the discussion and are not being systemically developed in a way that's going to allow students to achieve for the long term.
I want you to think about your favorite school in the city. Newman, Country Day, St. Andrews, Trinity, St. George's, Dominican, Jesuit.
35.
Right. I'm going down the same road. That may seem a little bit absurd, and I want you to think about that because I want you to think about those schools being governed by the Orleans Parish School Board. So if that's absurd, then I want you to think about Green and 35 and the wonderful schools that we're developing in this community being governed by the Orleans Parish School Board. That's about as absurd in my version of the state.
As far as the New Orleans Public School District, we certainly don't need to go back. And as someone who is working directly from the New Orleans Public School Board, I don't think anyone there is in a position to want to go backwards. And we got a great applause when Barbara says, we don't want to go back, and that's true. But there are some fabulous things that are happening in Knox. They've had their first clean audit. And for a district that's had,
Small victories ultimately win the war, so go ahead.
Exactly. But when I look at my life as a New Orleans public principal prior to Katrina and my life as a principal now under the New Orleans public school system, things are so much better. We have model classrooms and technology and a data system that really could rival anywhere in the country.
I think charter schools is about governance. I don't think that is about achievement. I think that we have a huge communication issue and a transparency issue, but I don't think that we are, I'm not here to prove that a particular governance solution solves things for kids. I'm here to prove that if you have enough truly excellent schools in a city, that will change the city. And I think that it is a tragedy that so many folks, that Tony's metaphor is the right one. It is unconscionable for us. We don't even think that public schools and excellence can go together. Because for decades, those with the means have bought their way out. And ultimately, I think, if folks with means, middle, upper class folks, don't start making bets with their own children on this system, we're doomed. And I say that with a 2.5-year-old, and I'll say it to you on the record, my child will go to an open enrollment public school. Hold me accountable for that in 3 years. I get to cheat because I get to help people start these schools. But you need to know that that's what drives me. I'm going to make damn sure that in 3 years there is a there's a school for Marion to go to. And I think we need to own up to the fact that for too long as a community, we have been okay with the fact that the public school is for someone else's kids. And we'll take care of our own kids first and let someone else deal with that. We have got to own up to that.